The music hits her ears, a deep, powerful bass. The Zero Club is crowded. The lights catch the laughing faces, waving hands, and glittering glass from the darkness. Jessica is dancing. She moves easily, following the rhythm. She's on vacation and just wants to relax. Her dress is bright blue. At first, she thinks she's imagining it, but no. The same guy stares at her through the crowd. The light briefly illuminates his face. A confident smile, a gaze that doesn't break. She turns to the bar. She pretends to choose a drink, but she feels that gaze on her back. 5 minutes later, he's already there. He leaned against the side counter. Brad, hi, are you here alone? Jessica looks at him. He has an expensive watch and a shirt with the buttons unbuttoned, but his smile is too wide. His eyes are darting. Jessica, no, I'm with friends. She looks around as if searching for someone in the crowd. Brad, I don't see your friends. And it doesn't matter. My name is Brad. I'm a regular here. He gestures to the bartender. Brad, what will you drink? I'll buy you one. Jessica, thank you, but no. I already ordered. She tries to catch the bartender's eye, but he's busy. Brad doesn't leave. He's standing too close. Brad, don't be shy. One drink to get to know each other. You don't want to be impolite, do you? There's something unpleasant in his tone. Jessica feels a shiver run down her spine. She picks up her purse. Jessica, I have to go. She quickly moves away from the bar and gets lost in the crowd of dancing people. She hopes he'll leave her alone. Hope fades quickly. She feels him behind her as she makes her way to the far exit of the hall. His hand suddenly grabs her elbow. Jessica turns around abruptly. Brad is standing there, smiling, but there is no humor in his eyes. Brad, where are you rushing to? The music is good. Jessica pulls her hand away. Jessica, I said I need to go. Leave me alone. Brad, why are you so angry? I just want to meet you. He takes another step forward. Jessica retreats to the wall. People are dancing around. No one notices their little drama. Brad, let's have a drink in my box instead. It's quieter there. We can talk. His hand reaches out to touch hers again. Jessica's heart is pounding. She realizes that simple words aren't working. She raises her voice, trying to shout over the music. Jessica, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. Several people nearby turn around, but only for a second. Brad is not embarrassed. His smile turns cold. Brad, don't yell. You don't want a scene. He looks at her as if she were a petulant child. Jessica looks around in panic. She needs a way out. She needs someone. Her gaze glides along the walls, past the bar counters, past the security guards at the entrance, and suddenly stops on the second level. There, behind a transparent fence, is the VIP area. Several tables, soft sofas. There are far fewer people there. On one of the sofas, in the very corner, sits a man. He is alone. There is a glass in front of him, but he is not looking at it. He is looking down at the dance floor. His gaze is calm, observant. He is not dancing, not talking on the phone. He is simply sitting. He is dressed in a perfectly fitting dark suit. His hair is short and neatly trimmed. He is Korean. Next to him, a little further away, stand two people. They are also wearing suits. They do not speak to each other. Their eyes are constantly moving, scanning the room. These are his people. It is obvious. The man on the sofa exudes a sense of quiet, absolute power. He is like the center of gravity in this turbulent room. And at that moment, he slowly shifts his calm gaze. He looks straight at where Jessica is pressed against the wall. He sees Brad looming over her. His expression doesn't change, not a hint of surprise or concern, just an attentive, assessing gaze. Brad leans towards her again. His breath smells of alcohol. Brad, well, have you changed your mind? Don't be silly. Jessica can't hear him anymore. She looks at the man upstairs, at his composure. This is her chance, her only chance. She takes a deep breath. Jessica abruptly pushes Brad away and rushes toward the stairs that lead to the VIP level. She hears his indignant voice from behind, but doesn't turn around. She runs to the velvet rope that blocks the entrance. The security guard looks at her questioningly. Jessica, I'm here to see him. She doesn't know his name. She simply points her gaze at the corner sofa. The security guard turns around. The man's gaze meets his, and he gives a barely noticeable, almost non-existent nod. The rope is moved. Jessica passes. Her legs are shaking. She approaches the sofa. The man looks at her. His eyes are dark, inscrutable. Without thinking, Jessica sits down next to him, closer than necessary. She feels the tension in his body. She places her hand on his shoulder. Her fingers tremble. She leans toward his ear. Her voice is a muffled whisper, full of desperation. Jessica, help, please. Pretend I'm with you. This guy, he won't let up. She leans back and looks into his face, begging for understanding. He slowly moves his gaze from her. looks over the railing down to where Brad stands. He's frozen, staring at them. His face is distorted with anger and disbelief. The silence lasts only 3 seconds, but for Jessica, it's an eternity. Then the man turns to her. His voice is quiet, low, and audible even over the roar of the music. Taemin, sit here. The word here sounds like an order, quiet, but iron. Jessica freezes. Her hand is still on his shoulder. She's afraid to take it away. She has to play her part. She looks down. Brad doesn't leave. He stands in the crowd and looks at them. His face is red with anger. He's shouting something, but the words are lost in the music. Taemin doesn't look at Brad. He's looking somewhere into the space above the dance floor. His face is completely calm. Then one of the men standing nearby takes an almost imperceptible step forward. He waits. Taemin turns his head just a centimeter. Their eyes meet. Taemin doesn't say a word. He just nods slowly. Once. It's a barely perceptible movement of the chin towards Brad. That's enough. The man in the suit, his name is Kim, Jessica learns later, immediately descends the stairs. A second follows. They move smoothly, without fussing. Jessica watches as they approach Brad from both sides. They don't grab him. They simply stand very close. Kim says something in his ear. Brad's face changes. Anger gives way to bewilderment, and then to pale, cold fear. He looks up at Taemin, then back at the people in front of him. He takes an abrupt step back, raising his hands as if in surrender. He says something quickly, nodding his head. A moment later, he turns and almost runs for the exit, pushing people aside. He disappears into the crowd without looking back. Jessica exhales. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath. Her hand finally falls from Taemin's shoulder. The tremor she'd been suppressing now runs through her entire body. Taemin turns to her. For the first time, he looks at her carefully, studying her. His gaze slides over her face, noting the fear mixed with relief. Taemin, now you can leave if you want. His voice is still even. Jessica, no, I should thank you. Taemin, it wasn't necessary. Jessica, it was for me. He wasn't going to let up. Taemin looks at her for a few more seconds. Then he makes a slight movement of his hand towards the couch. Taemin, then sit down. You're shaking. Jessica lowers herself onto the couch, a respectful distance from him. The adrenaline recedes, and shame and awkwardness wash over her. Jessica, sorry, I barged in here and Taemin interrupts her, but his tone is not rude. It's stating, Taemin, you asked for help. That's reasonable. He was persistent. Too much. He takes his glass of a clear liquid from the table and takes a small sip. He doesn't offer her anything. Taemin, what's your name? Jessica. Taemin, my name is Taemin. They sit in silence for a minute. Or rather, Jessica sits, and Taemin simply exists next to him, watching the club as if nothing happened. For him, it probably really is nothing. Kim and the second man go back upstairs. They take their seats again. Kim looks at Taemin and bows his head slightly. The deal is done. Taemin puts down his glass. He looks at Jessica. Taemin, do you live far away? I mean, how did you plan to get home? Jessica shrugs. She hadn't thought about it. Jessica, I would have called a car. Taemin looks at her bare shoulders and thin dress. It's already night outside. Taemin, that's not the best idea. I'll walk you home. It's not an offer. It's a statement of fact. Jessica, oh no, there's no need to worry. You've already done so much. Taemin, it's not a worry. It's finishing the deal. That person might be stupid. He might be waiting for you at the exit. The thought makes Jessica go cold. She looks at Taemin again. His face is expressionless. He's simply discussing possible scenarios. She realizes he's right, and that his proposal is the safest. Jessica, okay, thank you. Taemin stands up. He's not tall, but his posture and demeanor make him seem larger. He nods to Kim, who immediately moves forward, clearing the way. As Jessica descends the stairs and crosses the hall, she notices people parting for Taemin, not pushing, just moving aside. They barely look at him, but everyone feels his presence. The guard at the main exit silently opens the heavy door for them. It's chilly outside. A large black car is parked at the curb. It looks very expensive and very respectable. The driver is already standing next to the open back door. Taemin lets Jessica go first. She gets in. Leather seats, dim lights, impeccable cleanliness. Taemin sits down next to him. The door closes quietly. The sounds of the street immediately become muffled. The car moves smoothly. It's quiet inside. There's no music. Jessica looks out the window at the flickering lights of the city. She doesn't know what to say. Thank you doesn't seem like enough anymore. Taemin is the first to break the silence. He speaks, looking ahead. Taemin, do you often go to places like this alone? Jessica turns to him. Jessica, not really. Usually with a friend. She's sick today. I thought I'd just pop in. She falls silent, feeling like she's sounding like an excuse. Taemin, it's not your fault, but a lonely girl there will always be noticed, especially one like you. Jessica, how am I? Taemin looks at her for a second. Taemin stands out. He says this without a compliment, as a simple fact. Jessica doesn't know what to answer. Shuint, do you work in the city? Jessica, I'm an artist, freelance. I draw illustrations. Timin, interesting. He doesn't ask any more questions. The car drives along the night streets. Jessica decides to ask her question. Jessica, and you? Are you a club owner? Taemin turns his head slightly. Taemin, partly. I have several establishments and another business, logistics. He says this as if the topic is closed. After a while, the car stops in front of her house. It is a modest 4-story building. The driver gets out to open the door. Taemin gets out too. He stands on the sidewalk with his hands in his pants pockets. Jessica gets out of the car. Jessica, thank you so much again. I don't know what I would do. Taemin silently takes a thin black business card out of the inside pocket of his jacket. There are no titles or positions on it, only the name Taemin and a phone number. He hands her the card. Taemin, if he shows up again, or there are other problems, call this number. No one else. Jessica takes the card. The paper is thick, pleasant to the touch. Jessica, okay, I'll keep it. Taemin looks at it with his dark, unreadable eyes. Taemin, good night, Jessica. He nods slightly and gets back into the car. Jessica stands on the sidewalk and watches the black car disappear silently into the night. She unclenches her fingers and looks at the black card in her palm again. She feels relief and a strange, nerve-tingling premonition. She just asked the most dangerous man in the club for help, and he helped. Now in her hand lies the key to a world she knows nothing about. Jessica goes up to her apartment. She still holds the black card in her hand. She places it on her bedside table. The card feels out of place in her cozy room, with its scattered brushes and sketches. She tries to sleep, but Taemin's cold, calm face keeps flashing before her eyes, and his simple words, call this number, call no one else. In the morning, the card is still on the bedside table. Jessica eats breakfast and looks at it. She doesn't know what to think. On the one hand, this man helped her. On the other, there was something chillingly simple about his help. He simply nodded. She decides to forget for a while. She goes to the store for groceries. Life needs to return to normal. Walking home with 2 bags, Jessica feels almost safe. Day, sunlight, people around. She notices a familiar car at her entrance. Expensive, flashy. And Brad is standing next to it, leaning against the hood. Seeing her, he pushes away and walks towards her. There is poorly concealed anger on his face. Jessica stops. She wants to turn around, but it's too late. Brad blocks her way. Brad, well, hello, Jessica. Didn't expect me? Jessica tries to stay calm. Jessica, what do you want, Brad? Leave me alone. He laughs, but there is no humor in his eyes. Brad, leave me alone? After you publicly humiliated me? Did you think your Korean bodyguard would always be around? He takes a step closer. Jessica retreats to the wall of the house. Brad, he's not here. I'm right here. And you and I haven't finished our conversation. His voice becomes quieter, threatening. Brad, I don't like being treated like this, and I don't like it when someone interferes in my affairs, especially some Asians. He looks at her bags, at the modest entrance. Brad, I found out where you live. It wasn't difficult, so let's do this the easy way. Apologize. Compensate me for the time I wasted, and maybe I'll forget this story. Jessica understands that these are not just threats. He is serious. Cold fear gripped her back. Jessica, I don't owe you anything. Leave, or I'll call the police. Brad laughs again. Brad, call them. By the time they arrive, we will have finished our conversation long ago. And besides, who will believe them? I have friends. He looks at her with a long, heavy gaze. Brad, I'll give you a day to think. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time, and we'll discuss everything in a new way. He turns and walks to his car. Before getting in, he turns around. Brad, and say hi to your Korean friend. If you dare. The car roars away. Jessica stands, leaning against the wall. Her hands are shaking so hard the bags rustle. She feels sick with fear and helplessness. The police? His words about having friends ring true. She walks into the building, and on the wall next to her mailbox, she sees it. New, sloppy, spray-painted graffiti. Beware. Jessica locks herself in her apartment. She sits in silence the entire time, listening to the sounds in the hallway. The writing on the wall is before her eyes. She looks at the black card on the nightstand. If you have other problems, call this number. Other problems. That writing is a problem. Brad's threats are a big problem. She thinks about Taemin's cold eyes, about his quiet, absolute confidence. He simply nodded, and Brad ran away. The next morning, the fear does not go away. It turns into a heavy stone in her stomach. She can't work, can't eat. She knows Brad will be back tonight. At noon, she can't take it anymore. She picks up the phone and the same card. Her fingers tremble as she dials the number. The receiver is answered almost immediately. On the first ring, Taman, hello. His voice is even, like that time in the club. There is no question in it, no surprise. Just a statement of the fact that the phone has been answered. For a second, Jessica is speechless. Taman, Jessica? He remembers her name. It gives her a little courage. Jessica. Yes, it's me. Sorry to bother you. Taman interrupts her. His voice becomes a little more focused. Taman, what happened? Jessica, that man, Brad, he found me. He was at my house. He threatened me. He said he'd be back today. She speaks quickly, almost stumbling. Taman on the other end is silent for a couple of seconds. Taman, did he do something else? Jessica, on the wall in the entrance, there was writing, the word, beware. Silence again. Then she hears his even breathing. Taman, are you home now? Jessica, yes. Taman, okay. Don't go anywhere. Don't open the door with anyone. A car will arrive to you in 30 minutes. The same as last time. The driver will be the same. Get in. It will take you to a safe place. Got it? His tone brooks no argument. This isn't a request. It's a clear plan, Jessica. Yes, I understand. Thank you. Taman, wait for the car. He hangs up. Exactly 30 minutes later, Jessica sees that same black car through the window. It stops at the entrance to her house. The same man gets out of the driver's door. He looks at her window, then stands motionless next to the car. Jessica takes her bag with the bare necessities and gets out. The driver silently opens the door for her. She gets in. The car starts to move. She expects to be driven somewhere, but the car only goes 2 blocks and stops on a quiet street. The driver finally turns to face her. His face is inscrutable. Driver, my name is Kim. The boss asked you to wait here, just a little while, for your safety. Jessica, what's going on? Kim, the issue is resolved. He says it as if it's the most ordinary thing. He turns on soft music and looks out the windshield. 20 minutes pass. Kim's cell phone beeps briefly. Quietly, he looks at the screen, nodding to himself. Kim, that's it. We can go back. The car turns around and drives back to her house. Jessica, what? What that? Kim looks at her in the rearview mirror. His gaze is calm. Kim, the man named Brad, has received a clear explanation. He will not appear again. The sign will be removed. You can feel safe. The car pulls up to her house. Kim gets out to open the door for her. Jessica gets out. She looks at the wall next to the mailbox. The sign is gone. Someone carefully painted over it. Kim hands her a small envelope. Kim, from the boss. Jessica opens the envelope. Inside is a new black card. It has the same number and a handwritten phrase. Don't worry about it anymore. Kim bows her head slightly. Kim, have a nice day, Miss Jessica. He gets into the car and drives away. Jessica stands alone. Silence. No Brad, no threat. Everything was decided in 20 minutes. She looks at the card in her hand. The feeling of relief is so strong that she feels a little nauseous. But along with the relief comes a new thought. She just saw how Tamian's world works. Fast. Effective, without unnecessary words or emotion. And now she's part of it, whether she wanted it or not. 3 days pass. Jessica's sense of security, given by Taman, mixes with an obsessive curiosity and a sense of duty. He's helped her twice, and simply saying thank you over the phone feels wrong. She dials the number from the black card. This time she's even more nervous. Taman picks up the phone just as quickly. Taman, Jessica. He's simply stating a fact again. Jessica, hello, I wanted to thank you. Really? For what you've done. Taman, you don't have to. Jessica, it's worth it. For me, it's worth it. I'd like to buy you a coffee. As a token of my gratitude. If you don't mind, of course. There's silence on the other end of the line. Jessica is afraid he'll refuse, or that the very idea will seem funny to him. Taman, okay. One word is enough for her heart to skip a beat. Taman, where and when? Jessica names a small, inconspicuous cafe near her house. It's quiet, almost deserted in the morning. She sets a time for the next morning. Taman, I'll be there. He hangs up. The next morning, Jessica arrives at the cafe 10 minutes early. She chooses a table in the corner, by the window. She orders a latte and waits. He arrives exactly on time. He is alone. He is wearing dark trousers and a gray turtleneck under a light leather jacket. He looks almost ordinary. Only his posture and that special, slow way of looking around the room give away something different about him. He notices her and comes over. Jessica gets up to say hello. Taman, no need to get up. He sits down opposite her. The waitress comes over immediately. Taman orders an espresso. Nothing more. They sit in silence until the drinks arrive. Jessica, I still don't know how to thank you. What you did, it was more than I could have expected. Taman looks at his small cup of coffee. Taman, I said I could call if there were any problems. You called. I solved the problem. It's simple, Jessica. For you, probably. For me, it was scary. And it's not easy. Taman looks up at her. There's no sympathy in his eyes, but there is attention. Taman, fear is a normal reaction. You did well. You didn't let fear paralyze you. You called. He takes a sip of espresso. Taman, this is important. Jessica feels a strange pride from these words. Jessica, what? What did you tell Brad? Taman puts his cup on the saucer. The sound is quiet, but clear. Taman, we talked. I explained that you are under my protection, that any further attention on his part would be a big mistake. He understood. He says it as if he is explaining how to fix a faucet, without emotion. Taman, he won't come back. You can be sure of that. Jessica believes him. Absolutely. An awkward pause hangs between them again. Jessica realizes she knows next to nothing about this man. Jessica, you said you have several establishments, and also, logistics? Taman looks at her. He seems to be deciding how much to say. Taman, yes, clubs, bars. That's the public part. And logistics is the main thing. We ensure the delivery of goods. We control their movement. We make sure everything arrives on time and in the right place. Jessica, like a big courier service? The corners of Taman's lips twitch slightly, almost a smile. Taman, something like that. Only our clients are more demanding, and the goods are often more valuable. We guarantee safety and compliance with agreements. He takes another sip. Taman, in this business, two things are important: order and reputation. If you say something will be done, it must be done. If you take someone under your protection, it must be ironclad. No exceptions. Jessica listens. The words safety, agreements, reputation sound like sacred concepts on his lips. Jessica, and what if someone violates these agreements? Tamin looks away out the window. His face becomes stony again. Tamin, then order must be restored. Otherwise, everything collapses. People stop respecting you. Trust disappears. He turns to her. Taman, your Brad violated the order, first in my establishment, then at your home. It couldn't go unanswered. He talks about it like a math problem that has only one correct solution. Tamin, my business is creating order out of chaos. Control. Sometimes that requires a firm hand. Jessica nods. She's beginning to understand something. This isn't just a business. It's a whole system with its own laws, and Taman is at the center of it. Later that day, Jessica meets Megan. They are sitting in a pizzeria. Jessica, overwhelmed by impressions, carefully tells her friend about Tamin, about the coffee, about his business. Megan immediately frowns. She puts down her slice of pizza. Megan, Jess, stop. Let's take it from the beginning. You're saying that this guy made that idiot Brad run away with just one nod? Jessica, yeah. And then, when Brad came to me, Taman decided everything in 20 minutes. His people just talked to him. Megan in. Talk. I see. And his logistics. Jess, that sounds dangerous. Jessica, he said he provides delivery, controls the movement of goods. Megan looks at her with undisguised concern. Megan, goods? What goods? Who pays for such controlled delivery? It's not Amazon, Jessica. He has security. He talks about a firm hand and restoring order. Did you hear that yourself? Jessica, he helped me, Meg. Twice, Megan. And that's exactly what scares me, because now you're in his debt. You've become part of his system of order. Do you think people like that help for no reason, out of the kindness of their hearts? Jessica is silent. Megan's thoughts coincide with her secret fears. Megan, he's not just the owner of the club. He's some kind of boss. Do you understand? He has his own territory, his own rules, his own soldiers. You've gotten yourself into trouble with the local mafia. Jessica, you're being overdramatic. Megan grabs her hand across the table. Megan, no, Jess, I'm the realist. You've seen how he solves problems, quickly and harshly. What happens if you accidentally break one of his rules, or just get on his nerves? Who will solve the problem called Jessica? Megan's words fall like stones. Jessica looks away. Megan, I'm scared for you. Please just stop talking to him. Block that number. If Brad comes back, we'll go to the police. For real. Jessica looks at her phone. The number from the black card is saved there. Jessica, he said I can feel safe. Megan, yes. As long as he's interested in you. And then what? Jessica doesn't answer. She thinks of Taman's calm eyes, of his quiet voice. There's no malice in it. But Megan's right. There's something dangerous about him, something that can't be controlled. But when she thinks about that night at the club, about the fear of Brad, and then about how quickly that fear disappeared thanks to one call, she feels more than just gratitude. She feels drawn to that strength, to that confidence, and that's what scares her most of all. A couple of days later, Jessica's phone vibrates. A message from an unknown number. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. The address is Club Zero, if you want to see where it all began. Without the music. Taemin. Jessica looks at the message. Megan would be horrified, but curiosity is stronger than fear. The next day, she arrives at the address. The large door of the club is closed. There is no one around. Before she can ring the bell, the door opens. Kim is standing in the doorway. Kim, Miss Jessica, come in. It is quiet and empty inside. No flashing lights. No blaring music. The sound of her footsteps echoes off the walls. Tables and chairs are neatly stacked. The bar is empty and scrubbed until it shines. Taemin is standing in the middle of this empty room. He is wearing dark jeans and a simple black t-shirt. He looks up at the lighting system. He notices her and nods. Taemin, a completely different place, right? Jessica comes closer. Jessica, yes. It's very quiet, and it seems bigger. Taemin, at night, everything seems different here. The music, the crowd, the darkness, all the senses are deceived. During the day, reality is visible. Bare walls, wires, ventilation. He leads her between the tables to the stairs, the very ones. Taemin, you sat down right there. He points to that very sofa in the corner of the VIP area. Taemin, from here, you can see everything. Every door, every face, those entering and leaving. Jessica looks down at the empty dance floor. She imagines how he saw her then, a small figure in the crowd, trying to dodge Brad. Jessica, you saw what was happening. Taemin, I see everything that happens in my places. It's my responsibility. He turns to her. Taemin, you want to ask why I helped, why I didn't ignore it. Jessica nods silently. Taemin, because it was on my territory. He was disturbing the peace, and because there was more than just fear in your eyes, there was defiance. You were looking for a way out, not crying. That's respectable. He says it simply, as a statement of fact. They descend from the VIP level. Taemin leads her behind the bar, shows her the complex system of taps, the refrigerators. Taemin, there are rules here too. Every drink, every glass, everything has to be perfect. Jessica, you control every little thing. Taemin, little things create the whole. One mistake can destroy trust. Everything has to work like clockwork. He looks at her face, studies her reaction. Taemin, it scares you. Such control. Jessica thinks. The truthful answer seems important. Jessica, yes, a little, but also mesmerizing. To be confident in every step. Taemin, confidence takes work. Constantly, he steps away from the counter and looks at her. The silence around them seems thick. Taemin, you're not what I expected. Jessica, what did you expect? Taemin, that after all this, you'll want to distance yourself. Block the number. Try to forget. Your friend probably advised that. His words hit home. Jessica feels herself blush. Jessica, Megan, she's worried. She thinks you're dangerous. Taemin doesn't deny it. He just waits. Jessica, you're dangerous? Taemin, to those who break my rules, to those who threaten what's under my protection. Yes. He pauses. Taemin, but I'm not dangerous to you, Jessica. He says it without pathos, like a promise. And in that moment, something shifts between them. The silence is no longer awkward. It's tense, alive. Jessica feels her heart beating. She sees his gaze linger on her, just a little too long. Taemin, you asked the right questions. That's rare. 2 days pass. Jessica is working on a sketch, but her thoughts keep returning to the empty club and Taemin's quiet voice. The phone rings. Taemin, Jessica. Jessica, yes, I'm here. Taemin, are you free tonight? Jessica, yes, I am. Taemin, I want to take you to dinner. To my other place, at 8 p.m. He gives an address in the city center. It's not a club. Jessica, okay, I'll be there. Taemin, there is no dress code. Be yourself. He hangs up. At 8 o'clock in the evening, a taxi brings her to a tall, modern building. She enters the lobby and is immediately greeted by Kim. Kim, good evening, please. Follow me. He leads her to the elevator. The elevator goes up to the top floor. The doors open directly into an apartment. But it's not an apartment. It's a huge A-loft with floor-to-ceiling windows. The view of the night city is breathtaking. The room is devoid of unnecessary furniture. Minimalism. There is one table for two in the middle. The table is set simply, but elegantly. Candles are burning. Taemin steps out of the shadows. He is wearing a dark suit, but without a jacket. His shirt is unbuttoned one button. Taemin, hello. Jessica, hello. This is an incredible view. Taemin, I love looking at the city from above, seeing its structure, lights, like blood flow, everything in its place. The cook, whom Jessica didn't notice at first, serves light appetizers. They sit down. The wine has already been poured. Taemin, no one bothers me here. This is my private space. Jessica, it's like you. A controlled space. No surprises. Taemin, surprises in my work are bad. But here, I can allow them sometimes. He looks at her, and something warm appears in his eyes. Almost a smile. Taemin, like inviting an artist to dinner. It's a nice surprise. They talk about simple things, about food, about the art that hangs on the walls of the loft, about books. He turns out to be well-read. He says little, but accurately. Taemin, my father said, art is a luxury for a quiet mind. I rarely have a quiet mind, but I appreciate beauty in order, in symmetry, in something done with skill. Jessica, how are your logistics? Taemin, yes, like my logistics. He pushes his plate away. Taemin, you don't ask about things you don't know. You observe. You draw conclusions. I like that. Jessica, I'm just trying to understand. Taemin, understanding is everything. He gets up and goes to the window. He stands, looking out at the city. Taemin, the world below is cruel and chaotic. I built my world on order, but sometimes order can be lonely. He turns to face her. His face seems more open in the dim light. Taemin, you've been breaking that routine, Jessica, from the very beginning. And the strange thing is, I don't like it. He comes closer, stops a step away from her. Taemin, I want to see you again, if you want it too. Jessica looks into his dark, serious eyes. She no longer feels fear, only a strong magnetic attraction. Jessica, I want to. Taemin nods slowly. There's a promise and a question in his gaze at the same time. The spark they felt in the empty club now flares up in the quiet flame of the candle between them. After dinner on the rooftop, Taemin drives Jessica home himself. The car pulls up to her house. Taemin gets out to open the door for her, like the first time, but this time, he holds her hand for a second. Taemin, I'll call you tomorrow. He doesn't ask. He speaks, and there's no arrogance in his tone, only confidence. Jessica nods. Jessica, waiting for the call. She turns to walk to the entrance. At that moment, Kim, who had been standing by the car this whole time, steps forward. Kim, Miss Jessica. His voice is quiet but clear. Jessica stops. Taemin looks at his bodyguard but says nothing. Kim comes closer. His face in the lantern light seems carved from stone. Kim, can I see you for a second? He steps aside into the shadows. Jessica, surprised, follows him. Kim looks straight at her. His eyes are cold and attentive. Kim, I've served Mr. Taemin for many years. I've seen a lot. He pauses, choosing his words. Kim, his world. It's not your world. It has different rules. It has a very high price for making a mistake. You are a good person. I can see that. Jessica is silent, feeling her pulse quicken. Kim, Mr. Taemin is interested in you. That's a fact. But his interest changes your situation. You are no longer just a casual acquaintance. You are now connected to him. He says the word slowly. Kim, it provides protection, but it also attracts attention. The attention of those who are not his friends, or those who see him as a weakness. Jessica, I am not his weakness. Kim, for him, perhaps not. For others, yes. You are a point where order can be disrupted. And such points are often erased. His words hang in the air, cold and heavy. Kim, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm telling you to be careful. Look around. Don't trust strangers. And if something, even the slightest thing, seems strange to you, call me immediately. He hands her his business card. It only has the name Kim and a number. Kim, this number is always with me. Jessica takes the card. She looks at Kim's serious face. Jessica, you say this out of loyalty to him. Kim nods once. Kim, his well-being is my job, and right now, your safety is part of that job. Be smart, Miss Jessica. He gives a slight bow and returns to the car, where Taemin is waiting. Taemin looks at them, but doesn't ask what they talked about. Brad is sitting at a bar in a bad neighborhood. He has his third glass of whiskey in front of him. He is angry, humiliated. He still has a black eye on his face, a reminder of the conversation with Taemin's people. His friends laughed at him. He lost face. And all because of this black artist and her Korean bodyguard, Brad. He thinks he's the king here, he mutters under his breath. The bartender, a heavy-set man with tattoos, indifferently dries glasses. Bartender, who's the king? Brad. Taemin, the owner of the Zero. That Asian guy. The bartender stops dries. He looks at Brad carefully. Bartender. Oh, you got in touch with Taemin? Congratulations. Do you still have all your teeth? Brad frowns darkly. Brad. He hit me. Because of some girl. The bartender chuckles. Bartender. If. Taemin stood up for someone, which means they're under his wing. Forget it. Go home. But Brad can't forget. Resentment burns inside him. He wants revenge. But he's not stupid. He knows that standing alone against Taemin is suicide. He needs allies. Strong ones. And angry at Taemin, Brad remembers the rumors that not everyone is happy with Taemin's growing influence, that there are other groups he's crossed. One of them is the East Side Crew. They are led by a man nicknamed Jackson. Brad makes up his mind. He makes contact through a friend of a friend. They bring him to a warehouse on the outskirts of town. Jackson is a large man with short hair and attentive, hard eyes. He listens to Brad without interrupting. Brad. He thinks he runs the show here. dictates the rules, humiliates people, like me. Jackson, so what do you want? Brad, I want him to get what he deserves, to understand that not everything is allowed to him. Jackson, you want us to start a war because of your bruise? Brad, not a war, just a blow to his reputation, to what he considers his. Jackson slowly rocks in his chair. Jackson, Taman is cautious, like a snake. He has no weak spots. All his operations are protected. Brad smirks. He knows what he's about to say. Brad, there is one weak spot, not an operation, a person, a girl, an artist. She's with him now. He's attached to her, protecting her. Interest flares in Jackson's eyes. He stops rocking. Jackson, a girl? Are you sure? Brad, absolutely. I saw him with her, seed her off. He let her into his world. If something happens to her, he'll lose face. It will be a blow worse than any of his structures. Jackson is silent for a long time. He thinks. Brad watches him, hoping. Jackson, taking the girl is loud. Too loud. It's a direct attack. Taman will respond with war. We don't need that. Brad feels his hope slipping away. Jackson, but if the girl just disappears, not for long, if she finds herself in a bad situation, and Taman can't protect her, that's another matter. It will show that he is not omnipotent, that his protection is leaky. Brad, how are we going to do that, Jackson? Is she an artist? Works alone? Brad, yes, she has a studio. She stays there late. Jackson, okay, we won't touch her at her house. Timian probably posted security there. We'll take her on the way, when she's alone and relaxed, without witnesses, quickly and quietly. He looks at Brad. Jackson, are you sure you want to participate in this? If something goes wrong, Taman will come for you first. Brad clenches his fists. He hates Taman. He hates the girl who started this. Fear mixes with anger. Brad, I'm in. I want to see him get what he deserves. Jackson nods. There's no friendship in his eyes. Only cold calculation. Jackson, okay, we'll watch her for a few days, find out her routine, then we'll pick a moment, and we'll do it. He stands up, signaling that this conversation is over. Jackson, and remember, Brad, if you spill the beans, if Taman finds out about our plans ahead of time, we don't know you. You'll be dealing with him alone. Brad swallows. He realizes he's entered a game where the stakes are much higher than he thought. But there's no turning back. Jessica returns from the store with new paints. The sun is already setting. It's warm outside. People are hurrying about their business. Suddenly, she feels a slight chill on her back, a feeling of being watched. She turns around. Across the street is a gray car. Behind the wheel is a man in a baseball cap. He is looking not at her, but at his phone. Jessica shrugs. Paranoia. She is thinking too much about Kim's words. She keeps walking, but after a couple of minutes, she stops, supposedly to tie her shoelace. Out of the corner of her eye, she notices the same gray car. It drives slowly behind it. Jessica's heart gives an anxious jolt. She quickly gets up and turns at the next corner. She goes into a small convenience store and pretends to look at magazines in the window. A minute later, the gray car drives past, doesn't stop. Jessica exhales. Coincidence? Probably. But the next day, something similar happens. She leaves the cafe and sees the same man in the baseball cap. He's standing at a newsstand 2 blocks from her studio. He's not looking at her, but his posture seems too tense. That evening, in her apartment, she considers calling Kim. But what will she say? I think I'm being followed? It sounds stupid. She has no proof. She decides to be more careful. Don't walk alone in dark alleys. Always let Megan know where she is. And if anything seems strange again, call immediately. But fear, small and cold, has already settled inside her. Jessica has a deadline. An illustration for a book publisher is due tomorrow. She works in her studio until late in the evening. At 10 o'clock, she finally puts down her brush. She is done. She is tired but satisfied. She turns off the light in the studio and locks the door. The street is quiet and poorly lit. Her studio is in an old industrial area that empties out at night. She walks to her car, parked a couple of blocks away. The air smells of rain. She hears footsteps behind her. Quick, she turns around. No one. Only shadows from the streetlights. Jessica quickens her pace. She takes out her phone to call a taxi. A man comes around the corner ahead. He is wearing a dark jacket. He is walking straight towards her. Jessica stops. Her instincts scream for danger. She turns to run back, but there are already 2 people standing behind her. One of them is a man in a baseball cap. She opens her mouth to scream. The man ahead takes a quick step. There's something gleaming in his hand. Not a gun. a small syringe. She tries to fight him off, but someone grabs her hands from behind. Strong fingers clamp over her mouth. She feels a sharp prick in her neck. A wave of warmth washes over her instantly. The light from the streetlights blurs and fades. Her last thought is the black card in her purse. She didn't have time to call. Everything around her is consumed by darkness. Taemin is working in his office. Documents are spread out on the desk in front of him. Everything is calm. Order. His personal phone, the same one Jessica knows, is lying nearby. He is waiting for her message. She promised to send a photo of the finished work. The clock shows 11:30 at night. She hasn't written yet. This is not like her. A slight anxiety stirs inside him. He puts down the pen. He calls her. The call goes into the void. No answer, no hang-up. Taemin calls Kim. He picks up on the first ring. Kim Da, boss. Taemin, contact the people who are watching Jessica's studio. Find out what's going on there. Kim, yes, sir. A minute passes in silence. Taemin gets up and goes to the window. He looks at the night city, but doesn't see it. The phone rings. Kim, boss. The car is at the studio. The studio is dark and locked. The people themselves are not there. They're not communicating. A cold steel band squeezes Taemin's heart. The silence of his men is the worst possible signal. Taemin, not communicating? Kim, yes. It's been 20 minutes. That's not protocol. Taemin closes his eyes for a second. When he opens them, there's no calm in them, only icy, focused fury. Taemin, they were filmed, so it was an operation, a professional one. He speaks quietly, but every sound cuts the air like a blade. Taemin, gather all the information. Cameras in that area. Everything that happened for the last 2 hours. Raise everyone. I'm going to the office. Now. Kim, got it. Taemin hangs up. He stands in the middle of the office, his fists clenched. No one can see the panic on his face, only absolute, ruthless concentration. He thinks about Kim's words. You are the point where order can break down. Someone has dared to disturb his order. Someone has touched what is under his protection, him. This is not just an attack. This is a declaration of war, and this war will be short and total. He takes the keys to the safe from the desk. There are other phones there. Clean ones. For special occasions. Taemin, Jessica. He says her name in a whisper. It is not a plea. It is a vow. Taemin, I will find you. He leaves the office. His footsteps echo loudly in the empty hallway. Taemin's calm, controlled world cracked. And from the crack, a cold, primal rage crawled to the surface. The rage of a dragon whose treasure was stolen. He gets into the car. Kim is already behind the wheel. His face is grim. The car takes off. The night city flashes past the window. The hunt has begun. Cold. It seeps through her clothes, digs into her skin. Jessica slowly opens her eyes. Above her is a concrete ceiling with peeling paint. She lies on the cold concrete floor. Her head is pounding. There is a bitter taste in her mouth. She tries to move. Her hands are tied behind her back. Her legs are tied too. She rises with difficulty, leaning on her elbow. The room looks like a garage or a basement. High walls without windows. One dim light bulb under the ceiling. The air smells of damp and oil. And then she sees him. Brad is sitting on a box a few steps away from her. He looks at her without a smile. His face is pale, his eyes darting. He taps his foot nervously. Jessica, Brad. Her voice is hoarse. Alien. Brad? Well, you're finally awake. Welcome to my humble palace. He tries to speak mockingly, but there is tension in his voice. Jessica, where am I? What are you doing? Brad gets up and takes a few steps around the room. Brad, you're where no one will find you, especially your Korean friend. He stops in front of her. Brad, you thought it was over? You thought he scared everyone and you could sleep peacefully? You were wrong. Jessica tries to breathe evenly. Fear constricts her throat, but she remembers Taemin's words about how she was looking for a way out. She has to look for it now. Jessica looks at Brad. She sees his nervousness. He's not in charge. He's just a pawn. Jessica, you're not alone. Who's with you? Brad frowns. Brad, none of your business. Jessica, this is their plan, and you're here to do the dirty work. And if something goes wrong, who will be responsible? You. She speaks calmly, although her heart is pounding like crazy. Brad, nothing will go wrong. He won't find you. Jessica, he's already looking, and he will find. You know how he works. You've already seen it. She sees how his eyes widen with fear for a second. He remembered their last meeting. Brad, shut up! He takes a step forward, raising his hand. Jessica doesn't look away. Jessica, hit him. One more proof for him. One more reason to do to you what you're afraid of. Her composure discourages him. Brad's hand drops. He turns away and mutters something under his breath. Jessica realizes she's bought herself a little time, but she needs more. She looks around the room. One big rusty door. No other exits. Jessica, what do you want, Brad? Money? He'll give you money to let me go? More than they'll pay you here. Brad turns around abruptly. Brad, I don't want his money. I want him to get what he deserves, to make him understand. He's almost screaming. There's a child's resentment in his voice. Jessica, and for that, you got involved with someone more powerful. And now you're in their debt. Do you think they'll let you go later? They'll use you and then get rid of you. Like a witness. She hits on his greatest weakness. Fear. Brad freezes. He hadn't thought about it. Or rather, he had, but he pushed the thoughts away. At that moment, voices are heard outside, behind the door. Footsteps. More than one person. Brad's face distorts. He throws a look at Jessica, full of hatred and panic. Brad, be quiet. Not a word, or it will be worse. The door creaks open. Jackson appears in the doorway. He looks around the room, then looks at Jessica. Jackson. Oh, our princess is awake. Great. Two more men follow him. They look serious and silent. Jackson approaches Jessica. He squats down in front of her. Jackson. I hope Brad was polite. We are not here to harm you. At least, not yet. Jessica is silent, looking him straight in the eyes. Jackson, your friend Taman is a very self-confident person. He thinks he is in control of everything. We want to remind him that he is not. You are that reminder. He stands up. Jackson, he will get a message soon, and a little surprise, and we will see how he behaves. One of Jackson's men approaches Brad and says something quietly in his ear. Brad nods and takes one last look at Jessica. And at that very moment, there is a sound from outside. Not loud. A dull thud, like something heavy falling to the ground. Everyone freezes. Jackson spins around to the door. Jackson, what was that? His man at the door puts his finger to his lips and peers cautiously through the crack. No one else has time to do anything. The door swings inward, knocking the man watching from his feet. Tamin stands in the doorway, shrouded in the evening gloom from the street. He's not wearing a suit. He's wearing a dark tactical jacket. His face is a mask of ice and fury. The figures of other people flash behind him. It all happens in seconds. Jackson reaches for his gun. Tamin doesn't let him. He takes one quick step forward and delivers a short, crushing blow. Jackson falls to his knees, clutching his stomach. Jackson's second man lunges at Taman, but Kim attacks him from the side. The struggle is short and brutal. A moment later, the man lies motionless on the floor. Brad freezes against the wall. His face is white as chalk. He's trying to become invisible. Taman doesn't even look at him. His gaze is fixed on Jessica. He crosses the room and drops to one knee in front of her. He quickly but carefully checks her face, looking for bruises. His fingers touch her neck where the injection site was. Tamin, are you in pain? Did they hit you? His voice is quiet, but there is a steel string trembling in it. Not fear, restrained rage. Jessica shakes her head. Tears finally well up in her eyes, but she holds them back. Jessica, no, I'm fine. Taman nods, and his face softens for a second. He takes a knife from his pocket and in one motion cuts the ropes on her wrists, then her ankles. He helps her to her feet. She is swaying. Her legs are numb. He holds her hand tightly, keeping her from falling. Only now does he turn. He looks at Jackson, who is struggling to get up from his knees, and at Brad, pressed against the wall. There is an inhuman coldness in Tamin's eyes. The garage is silent. The only sounds are Jackson's heavy breathing and the quiet, intermittent click of Brad's heels on the concrete. Tamin walks slowly toward Brad. Each step echoes in the silence. He stops in front of him. Brad presses himself against the wall, as if he wants to fall through it. Tamin looks at him. His gaze is not angry. It is calm, empty, and that makes it even scarier. Taman Brad. He says his name quietly. Brad flinches. Brad, I didn't mean to. It's all of them. Taman, shut up. 2 words, spoken in an even voice. Brad immediately falls silent. His jaw trembles. Taman, you received my warning. Clear. I said she was protected. You thought it was a joke. Brad tries to shake his head, but he can't move. Taman, you went to my enemies. You led them to her. You let them touch her. He pauses microscopically after each sentence. The words fall like icy stones. Taman, it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Your choice. Brad, please, I'll do anything. Taman, yes, you will. Taman turns to Kim, who has already tied up Jackson. Jackson is silent, but his eyes burn with hatred. Taman, take them both to the warehouse by the river. Tell our friends on the east side. Tell them that we found their lost property and that they were trying to ruin our relationship. Kim nods, understanding. Kim, got it, boss. What message? Tamin looks at Brad again. Taman, the message is simple. Order is restored. Our agreement remains in effect. But if something like this happens again, we will come and discuss it in person. Jackson finally raises his head. He realizes that his plan has failed completely and that his career has just ended. His men, the ones he brought, have already been neutralized by Tamin's men outside. Taman, get them out of my sight. Kim and 2 other men quickly and efficiently escort Jackson and Brad out. Brad walks, almost numb, No one else hit him, but his face is one of complete and utter collapse. He understands that he is being handed over to those he tried to befriend, and these people will not stand on ceremony with him. The last look he gives Jessica is so full of horror that she looks away. The car speeds them through the city at night. Jessica sits in the back seat, wrapped in someone else's jacket. She is still shivering. Taman sits next to her, silent. He looks ahead. He is not taking her home. He is bringing her to his rooftop loft. It is safe there. It is his territory. He makes her tea with his own hands. Silently, he places the cup in front of her on the table. Jessica cups the cup with her hands, trying to warm her icy fingers. A week passes. Jessica gradually comes to her senses. From Megan, she learns the town gossip. They say that Jackson's crew on the east side has sharply lost influence. They are experiencing serious supply problems. Some of their key people suddenly left the city. Nothing has been heard from Brad at all. His car was found abandoned on the outskirts. His social media is dead. No one connects these events with Jessica. No one talks about the kidnapping. It all looks like a business squabble in the shadow world. Jessica understands. This is what consequences are. It's not a scream or a drama. It's a quiet, effective erasure of the problem. Order is restored. The price for its disruption is paid. One evening, she receives a text from Taman. Short. Everything is settled. You're safe. She looks at those words. She should feel relief, but she feels something else too. A chill. She has seen the mechanics of his world at work, and he is merciless. Taman doesn't pressure her. He's simply present. Every day, a short text. How are you? Sometimes he sends a driver to take her somewhere if she's afraid to go alone. He invites her to the loft again. This time it's daytime. The sun floods the room. They sit on the couch. A meter between them. The silence is not awkward but heavy. Jessica, I was thinking about what you said to Brad. It was your choice. Taman looks at her. Taman, it's true. Jessica, what if something happened to me? Would that be my choice too? To go out alone at night? Taman looks away. He is silent for a long time. Taman, no, that would be my failure. I took responsibility for your safety, and I didn't provide it completely. It's my fault. He says it quietly but clearly. For a man who is always in control of everything, this admission is worth a lot. Jessica, you found me. Taman, too late. You've been there before. You were afraid. He stands up and walks to the window. His back is tense. Taman, I used to think my words were law, that my warning was a wall no one would jump over. I underestimated their stupidity and their lust for power. I put you in danger. Jessica stands up and walks to him. She carefully places her hand on his back. He flinches at the touch, but doesn't pull away. Jessica, but you came. Alone. The first. Taman turns to her. In his eyes, for the first time, she sees more than just confidence or anger. She sees weariness and fear. Not for himself, for her. Taman, when Kim said you were gone, I wasn't thinking. I just acted. It was unprofessional. Dangerous, but I couldn't help it. He looks at her face, touches the injection site on her neck with his fingers. His touch is light as a feather. Taman, you became a weak spot, but also, you became a reason. She doesn't understand. Jessica, the reason for what? Taman, the reason I came out of the shadows. The reason I showed everyone how far I'm willing to go. They know now. You're not just protected. You're a red line. He doesn't say this as a threat, as a fact, as a new rule of his world. Jessica, I'm scared. Taman, I know. Me too. These words shock her. He's afraid. This man, who decides destinies with one nod, is afraid. Taman, I'm afraid that this will happen again, that I won't have time again, that my world will hurt you. He takes her hand in his. His palm is warm and strong. Taman, but I also know that I can't just let you go. It's no longer possible. Jessica looks at their intertwined fingers. The fear is still there, a cold lump inside. But there is something else too. Strong, alive. Jessica, I don't want you to let go either. He slowly pulls her towards him. She presses herself against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Here, in his arms, fear retreats. There is silence, and safety, and something that feels very much like a beginning. Jessica is trying to get back to her normal life. She works, meets with Megan, but now there is almost always a shadow next to her. Sometimes it is Kim in the car nearby. Sometimes it just feels like she is being watched. One day, Taman says to her on the phone, Taman, tomorrow my sister is coming to visit. From Korea. She will stay for a week. I want you to meet. There is slight tension in his voice. Jessica, are you sure? Maybe we shouldn't. Taman, I want to. She is important to me. And you are becoming important. The next day, Jessica arrives at the loft. She is more nervous than before meeting Brad. A young Korean girl opens the door. She is about 20 years old. She has a wide smile and lively, curious eyes. She is dressed in bright, fashionable clothes. Girl? Oh, hi! You must be Jessica. I'm Mina. She speaks English with a slight accent, very quickly and infectiously cheerfully. Mina, come in. Enin. Come in. Taman Opa is talking on the phone. Some boring business. Always business. She rolls her eyes and pulls Jessica inside. The loft has been transformed. There are bright pillows, an open suitcase with clothes, bags from boutiques on the table. Mina, he lives so boring here. Like a monk. At least I added some flowers. She sits Jessica down on the sofa and immediately places a cup of an incomprehensible pink drink in front of her. Mina, have you tried it? Korean lemonade. The best in the world. Oh, sorry. I talk so much. Opa said you're an artist. That's so cool. Show me your work. Jessica is stunned by this flow of energy. Mina is the complete opposite of Taemin. She is bright, loud, absolutely sincere. At that moment, Taemin comes out. He is wearing sweatpants and a simple t-shirt, a look that Jessica has never seen. He looks younger and a little helpless in front of his sister. Mina. Opa! Finally! I'm interrogating Jessica here. She's so cool. Taemin looks at Jessica. His eyes ask, is everything okay? Jessica smiles and nods slightly. She likes Mina immediately. Taemin sits down next to him. Mina chatters nonstop about her studies in Seoul, about fashion trends, about how bored Taemin is living in such an empty apartment. Mina, he probably tells you that he has a boring business, logistics. Really? All numbers and containers? I once tried working for him in the summer. I almost fell asleep over the paperwork. She laughs. Jessica looks at Taemin. He listens patiently to his sister, and that rare almost smile plays at the corners of his lips. Jessica understands. Mina lives in a different world. A world where her brother is just a slightly boring, overly serious businessman. She doesn't see shadows, doesn't know about nods that change lives, about a cold look that makes you tremble. And Taemin, this Iron Man, wants to keep this world for her, pure, bright. And he let Jessica into this bright corner of his life. This trust turns out to be harder and more frightening than any danger, because now she has something to lose. Not only him, but also this fragile, ordinary world he built for his sister, and into which she is now embedded. Loft Taemin became quiet and stern again after Mina's departure, but her visit left a mark, a slight, warm crack in the stony seriousness of this place, and in Taemin himself. He spends more time with Jessica. Sometimes they just sit together in silence. He reads reports she draws in her sketchbook. This new feeling, ordinary intimacy, frightens and fascinates her. But beyond the walls of the loft, his world continues to operate according to its own rules. And not everyone in this world welcomes the changes. Jessica arrives at Taemin's in the evening. Upon entering, she hears muffled voices coming from the study. The door isn't firmly closed. Taemin's voice. It's a different male voice, low and dissatisfied. She recognizes it. It's Park, one of Taemin's older men. She's seen him a couple of times. Tall, cold, with a perpetual disapproval in his gaze. Park, it's distracting, Hyungnim, people say. And Taemin, people should mind their own business. Park, they are busy, but they also see. You used to be here every night. Now you're often gone. You trust others to make decisions. Taemin, I trust you? Or was I wrong? Pause. Jessica stands frozen in the hallway, holding her breath. Pak, you're not mistaken. But our strength lies in your complete involvement. In your inaccessibility. This girl makes you accessible, vulnerable. Taemin, it's my personal business, Park. Park no, Hyungnim. When it comes to the organization's reputation and security, nothing is personal. After the incident with Brad and Jackson, everyone saw how far you're willing to go for it. It showed strength, but it also showed weakness. You now have a point of leverage. Taemin, the pressure point is well protected. Pak, nothing is perfectly protected. We all know that. And our partners on the eastern side now know this better than anyone. They lost, but they learned their lesson. Another pause. The sound of a lighter is heard. Taemin is probably lighting a cigarette. He rarely does this, only when he's really stressed. Taemin, are you finished, Park? Pak's voice is more respectful, but there is still steel in it. Pak, I express concern as someone who has faithfully served you and our cause for many years. This connection is a risk, an unpredictable factor, and we hate unpredictability. Taemin, I heard you. You can go. The chair creaks. Footsteps. Jessica quickly and silently moves away from the door and pretends she just entered. The office door opens. Pak steps out. He tenses almost imperceptibly when he sees her. His gaze glides over her, quick and appraising. He tilts his head slightly. Pak, Miss Jessica. His tone is polite, but there's not a hint of warmth in it. He passes by and exits the loft. Taemin emerges from the office. His face is calm, but there are slight lines of tension around his eyes. Jessica, I just arrived. He looks at her. He understands that she heard, at least part of it. Taemin, don't pay attention to him. Park is old school. He's afraid of everything new. Jessica. He's not the only one who thinks so, right? Taemin doesn't answer. He goes to the bar and pours himself some water. Taemin, in my world, discontent is normal. The important thing is that it remains within the bounds of respect. But she heard it. People are talking. It wasn't just Pak. It was whispers behind her back, resentment building. Later, while Taemin is talking on the phone in his office, Jessica steps out onto the balcony. The air is cool. She looks out over the city, at the lights of his empire. She thinks about Pak's words. You now have a pressure point. She is that point, a weakness in the armor of the impenetrable. Tamina, she hears a soft sound. She turns around. Kim comes out onto the balcony. He's holding 2 glasses of tea. He hands one to her. Kim, the evening is cool. Jessica, thank you, Kim. They stand in silence, drinking tea. Kim, you heard the conversation with Pak. That's not a question. Jessica nods. Kim, he's not an enemy. He simply sees threats where they might not exist, or where they haven't yet manifested themselves. Jessica, is he right? Am I weak? Kim stares into her glass for a long time. Kim, you are a change, and any change in our structure is a risk. Pak evaluates risks. That's his job. But the boss, he weighs risks differently. He believes some things are worth the risk. Jessica, what do you think? Kim looks up at her. His face, as always, hard to read. Kim, I believe that anyone who had the courage to approach him at the club can no longer be just a weakling. You're changing the rules. Players are always unhappy when the rules of the game change. He finishes his tea and bows. Kim, good night, Miss Jessica. He leaves. Jessica is left alone. The whispers behind her now echo in her head. She's part of a game whose rules she doesn't fully understand. And some players want her off the field. Several days pass. The tension doesn't subside. It hangs in the air like the scent before a storm. Taemin takes Jessica to dinner at one of his restaurants. It's a beautiful, quiet place. They sit in a separate room. Everything is going well. Taemin is more talkative than usual. He's talking about how he chose the furniture for this place. It seems he's trying to create an island of normalcy for her. It is at this moment that Pak appears. He's not alone. He's with 2 other men from Taemin's team. They all have serious faces. They approach the table. Taemin slowly puts down his fork. His calm suddenly turns icy. He didn't invite them. Taemin, Park. What happened? Park. We need to talk, Hyungnim. Urgently. Taemin. I'm busy at the office tomorrow. Pak doesn't look away. It's unheard of to insist in front of his boss, especially in front of Jessica. Paki too can't wait until tomorrow. This concerns the safety of all of us. Taemin stares at him for a few seconds. Then he looks at Jessica, his eyes apologetic. Taemin, wait for me here, please. I won't be long. He stands and leads Puck and the others to the far corner of the room. They're too far away to hear what he's saying, but Jessica can see their faces. She sees Park say something quickly and harshly. She sees the other 2 men's faces express support. She sees Taemin listen, his own face turning into an impenetrable stony mask. The conversation doesn't last long. Park ends and looks at Taemin, waiting for an answer. Taemin says nothing. He simply looks at Park. His gaze is heavy as lead. Even from here, Jessica can see Park swallow slightly, but he doesn't look away. Finally, Taemin slowly, very clearly, says one sentence. Jessica reads his lips. This is my last word. Puck nods, but there's no resignation in his nod. There's disappointment and determination. He and his men turn and leave without a glance at Jessica. Taemin returns to the table. He sits down. His hands rest on the table, fingers clasped. His knuckles are white. Jessica, Taemin, what's going on? He doesn't answer right away. He breathes evenly, trying to regain control. Taemin, nothing important. Business disagreements. Jessica, don't lie to me. Please. Is this because of me? He looks at her. There's a struggle in his eyes, between the desire to protect her and the need to tell the truth. Taemin, Park, and some others, they're expressing concerns. They think our relationship is interfering with my work, creating unnecessary risks. Jessica, and what do they want? Taemin takes a deep breath. Taemin, they want me to distance myself, to prioritize, to put the organization first again. Jessica feels her stomach clench. Jessica, they gave you an ultimatum. Taemin, they expressed collective concern. Jessica, it's the same thing. What did you say? Taemin, said it was my decision, and it was made. But she saw his face. She saw how difficult it had been for him. In his world, the collective concern of the senior lieutenants was more than just an opinion. It was a threat to stability. Jessica, they can do something. Not to you, to me. Taemin lifts his head sharply. Taemin, no. They wouldn't dare. It would be outright disobedience. War. Jessica, what if they decide war is a lesser evil than your distraction? What if they decide to remove the problem, that is, me, without your knowledge? She voices her deepest fear, a fear that has lived within her since the conversation in the garage. Tamin looks at her, and something new appears in his eyes. Not anger, pain, because he knows she might be right. In his world, preemptive strikes are common practice. Tamin, I won't let this happen, Jessica. You can't be everywhere, Tamin. You said it yourself. They sit in oppressive silence. The sumptuous dinner before them is growing cold. The island of normalcy is shattered. The whispers behind their backs have turned into direct, harsh conversation. And the ultimatum, even unspoken, now hangs between them. Jessica looks at this strong, dangerous man holding her hand. And for the first time, she understands that his power may not be limitless, that it comes with a price, and that some people in his world are willing to pay that price to restore the old, understood rules. The silence in the car on the way home was thick as fog. Tamin was silent. Jessica stared out the window at the flickering lights. Park's words and the cold, collective gaze of his men burned her from within. A pressure point, weakness, an unpredictable factor. He walked her to the door. He stopped at the threshold. Tamin, I'll figure this out. Give me time. There was firm confidence in his voice, but somewhere deep in his eyes, there was a shadow of doubt that had never been there before. Jessica, I know. She said this to reassure him, but inside, everything screamed. He'll figure it out. How? With another nod? With another quick, brutal decision? That would only increase the tension, turn whispers into open anger. She lay awake all night staring at the ceiling. She thought about his world, about an order built on control and fear. She had burst into that order like a meteor, and now the gravity of this world was pulling her down, either to crush her or to tear Tamin apart. Toward morning, the decision came. It was heavy as stone and simple as truth. To save what had blossomed between them, she needed to disappear. Not forever, but for a while. Give him space. Give him the chance to consolidate his power, to calm his people, without her presence, which unnerved them all, and give herself time to understand if she could live with this, with the fact that she loved a man whose love could be mortally dangerous for her. In the morning, she packed a small bag. She took only the essentials. She wrote him a letter by hand, simple, without accusations. Tamin, I need time to think about everything, about us, about your world and my place in it. It's not your fault. This is my decision. Don't look for me. I'm safe. When I sort out my feelings, I'll come back. If you want to see me again, I'm sorry. Jessica. She left the letter on the kitchen table. She placed the same black card on top, a symbol of his protection, which now also became a symbol of his trap. Then she called a taxi to the bus station. She bought a ticket to a random coastal town several hours away. She turned off her main phone. She bought a cheap disposable one. She didn't tell anyone where she was going. Not even Megan, especially Megan. As the taxi pulled away, she looked out the window and cried, quietly, because it was her choice, the hardest choice of her life. Tamin came to her place that evening. He bought flowers. Stupid. He had never bought flowers before, but he wanted to do something, to show that there was a world outside his business. His knock went unanswered. He called. Her phone was turned off. A slight anxiety began to swirl in his chest. He used the spare key she had given him a week ago, just in case. The apartment was empty, quiet, too clean. He felt it immediately. He went into the bedroom. Some of his things were gone. An envelope lay on the kitchen table. He read the letter. Once, then again. His hand clutched the paper so tightly that it crumpled. He wasn't angry. First came the emptiness, a huge, cold emptiness. The same emptiness he had felt for years before it, and which suddenly returned, 1,000 times sharper, because now he knew what it was like to feel differently. He sat down on a chair and stared into space for a long time. The black card lay before him, a silent reproach. He didn't bother looking for it. He respected her decision. He understood every word. Your world, my place. She was right. He pulled her into his vortex without asking if she was ready. The emptiness turned into a quiet, constant ache. He returned to his loft. The world had become gray again, ordered and lifeless. The next morning at the meeting, Park and the others noticed the change. Tamin was collected, cold, precise as ever. He was completely there again, but there was no life in his eyes, only ice. Park, Hyungnim, regarding the supply issue to the north. There was a pause. Tamin, decide. I hired you for this. His voice was even, but it lacked the usual energy. He didn't delve into details. He simply gave orders. It was during these days, when his attention was dulled by pain, that the problems began. Small at first glance, a small shipment of goods was held at customs longer than usual. One of the reliable drivers suddenly abandoned a profitable route. A police check was conducted at one of the clubs, formal but unexpected. Kim reported this to him quietly. Kim, boss, this looks like targeted pressure. Someone is testing our weak points. Taemin, who? Kim, we are testing. Perhaps the remnants of Jackson's group. Perhaps someone new. Someone who sensed a change. Taemin understood the change Kim was talking about, his detachment, his withdrawal. In his world, any weakness instantly attracted predators. His pain became a vulnerability for his entire organization. One night, he stood by the panoramic window. The city shone below. He thought about her. Where was she? Was she looking at the sea? Was she feeling relief? Or was she also feeling this emptiness? He picked up his personal phone, the one she had called. He dialed her number. It was off. He didn't expect anything else. Taemin, I'm sorry, he whispered into the darkness of the empty loft. Forgive me that my world is like this. He realized this with brutal clarity. She wasn't weakness. She was light. And now that the light was gone, all the shadows of his world grew deeper and more dangerous. Her departure didn't strengthen his position. It undermined it. Because with her, a part of his own power had gone. The part that made him feel alive, not just a control machine. The emptiness was eating away at him from within, and his empire was beginning to quietly crumble at the seams. Jessica spent 2 weeks by the sea. She tried to draw. She walked. She breathed in the salty air. But the longing was a physical pain. She missed him. Every second. She reread his only message, which had arrived the day after she left, on an unknown number she had temporarily used. I'm waiting. Be safe. T. Nothing more. He respected her boundaries, and that's what hurt the most. She realized she'd been wrong. Running didn't provide answers. It only increased the distance. She realized she was ready to take the risk, ready to fight for him, and for their chance, but to fight by his side, not hiding. She bought a return ticket. Her heart beat faster as the bus approached the city. She sent him a short message from the same number. I'm coming back. I'll be home tonight. If you're still waiting. The answer came almost instantly. Waiting. Always. She smiled for the first time in 2 weeks. She arrived in the city at sunset. She decided to stop by her studio first and pick up some work. The air was cool. The street leading to her studio seemed deserted. And suddenly, she felt it, that same icy shiver down her spine, the feeling of being watched. She stopped. She looked back. 3 men came around the corner, unfamiliar faces, but by the way they moved, she realized they weren't random passers-by. One of them, with a scar on his cheek, smiled at her. It was an unpleasant smile. Man, Miss Jessica, welcome home. We were asked to meet you. Jessica, who are you? Man, friends, we are supposed to take you somewhere. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you, as long as you cooperate. She understood. This isn't Brad. These are professionals. This is a trap. And she walked into it herself, like a naive child. Jessica backed away. Jessica, move away. I'm not alone here. The man with the scar laughed. Mano, we know. Your friend Taemin is already on his way. We've informed him, invited him to a meeting, but first, we need to make sure you'll come. He nodded to his men. They quickly closed a circle around her. She didn't have a chance. Before she could even scream, one of them threw a rough bag over her head. Her arms were twisted behind her back. They lifted her up and practically threw her into the trunk of a car that pulled up at that very moment. Darkness, shaking, fear, familiar and all-consuming. Taemin's car sped along the night highway. His face was distorted with cold rage. His phone was on his lap. On the screen was a message from an unknown number. A photo. Jessica, her eyes wide with fear, against the backdrop of a dirty wall, and an address, an old abandoned factory on the outskirts. The message, come alone, like a person, not like a boss, or she will get hurt. We're waiting. Kim drove. His face was grim. Kim, this is clearly a trap, boss. They want you there alone. They plan to end it all at once. Taemin, I know. Kim, I can assemble a team in 20 minutes. We'll surround the place. Taemin, no, they said alone. They will kill her at the first sign of your people. Kim, but you can't go there without backup. It's suicide. Taemin looked at the photo, at her eyes. There was more than fear in them. There was hope for him. Taemin, they're not waiting for me alone. He opened the glove compartment. He took out a small flat pistol, checked the clip, tucked it into his belt. Taemin, they're waiting for the boss. Cold-blooded, calculating. The man who will send the team, who will negotiate, who will look for benefits. He turned to Kim. Taman, but today I'm not the boss. Today I'm just a man who came for his girlfriend, and they are not ready for this. There was no fear or anger in his voice. There was absolute quiet determination. The determination of a man who had nothing left to lose but one thing. Kim, what should I do? Taman, take me to the factory. Stop a kilometer away. Wait for my signal. If there is no signal in 40 minutes, act at your own discretion. Restore order. Kim wanted to object, but saw his look. It was an order, and farewell. The car stopped at the indicated place. Tamin got out, without further ado. He walked along the dark road towards the silhouette of the factory. He was alone. He held nothing in his hands, except the pistol in his belt and a mad determination in his heart. He approached the gate. It was slightly open. He walked inside. 3 men greeted him. At the head was a man with a scar. They had weapons in their hands. The man with the scar. Well, here he is, boss. Alone, as requested. Where are your soldiers? Taman, they are not needed. Where is Jessica? His voice sounded calm, almost tired. The man with the scar chuckled. He beckoned Taman to follow him. He was led into the workshop. Under the high arches, in the light of several portable lanterns, stood Jessica. Her hands were bound. Next to her stood another man with a pistol. And then Park stepped out of the shadows. Taman's face did not waver. He had expected this. Park, Hyungnim, forgive me for such extreme measures. You left us little choice. Taman, where are the others? Those who supported your concern? Park, they are waiting for the outcome. If I solve the problem, they will be with me. If not, they have never heard my name. Park took a step forward. Park, she is a disease, Hyungnim. You can see it for yourself. Because of her, you weaken. Your decisions become emotional. The organization suffers. You allowed feelings to cloud your mind. Taman looked at Jessica. She looked at him. There was no reproach in her eyes. There was only faith and love, so strong that it was visible even in the semi-darkness. Taman, what are you proposing, Park? Park, a simple solution. You refuse her. Publicly, you confirm that the organization is the most important thing. You return to who you were. And she leaves, far away, and everyone forgets this story. Taman, and if I refuse? Park sighed like a tired teacher. Park, then you force us to save the organization from yourselves. We will eliminate the threat, right here, and then we'll say it was revenge by Jackson's men. You died defending your honor. Beautiful. And the organization will pass into strong hands. The man next to Jessica put a gun to her temple. She closed her eyes. Taman stood motionless. He had a choice in front of him, the choice he'd made his whole life. The boss's option, play the game. Agree, stall for time, look for a weakness in Park's scheme, use his mind, sacrifice her now for revenge later, restore order. The option of a man who loves, don't play. Taman slowly raised his hands, showing that they were empty. Taman, okay, Park, you win. He took a step forward, as if admitting defeat. Park smiled slightly. Taman, organization is more important. Order is more important. You're right. He took another step. Now he was a few meters away from Park, his back to the men with guns. Taman, let her go, and I will do as you say. Puck nodded to the man with the gun near Jessica. He lowered the barrel slightly. At that moment, Taman moved, but not at Puck. He spun around abruptly and rushed not at Jessica, but at the man holding the gun to her temple. It was an illogical act, not calculated, desperate. The act of a man who cannot bear to see a gun pressed to the head of his beloved. His movement was as swift as a snake's strike. He struck the man's hand, knocking the weapon away. The gun fell with a dull thud. A shot rang out. Puck fired. Taman felt a searing pain in his shoulder. He spun around, shielding Jessica with his body. He pulled his small pistol from his belt. Without aiming, he fired in Puck's direction. The shot hit his leg. Puck fell with a scream. Confusion broke out in the workshop. The man with the scar opened fire. But Taman was already pushing Jessica behind a pile of old crates, shielding her with his body. And then there was the roar of engines outside. A loud bang. Braking iron. A black SUV crashed through the workshop gates at high speed. 2 more cars followed. People poured out of the cars. Kim's people. They moved swiftly, without wasting shots, overwhelming resistance with numbers and skill. The fight was over in a minute. Park and his men were disarmed. Kim ran to the pile of boxes. Kim, boss! Taman slowly rose. His left arm hung limply, a dark stain spreading down the sleeve of his jacket. He was pale, but on his feet. He reached for Jessica. Kim quickly cut the ropes on her wrists. Jessica rushed to Taman. She pressed her palm to his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Tears streamed down her face. Jessica, are you crazy? He said to come alone. Taman smiled weakly, touching her face with his good hand. To Taman, I Came alone. It's just, I didn't say I'd be leaving alone. He looked at Puck, whom his men were already lifting from the floor. Taman's gaze was tired. Taman, take him. And everyone with him. Let them appear before the council. They will decide their fate. According to the rules of the organization, it was the boss's order. Fair, according to the rules. Then he turned his gaze to Jessica, and his voice changed, became quieter, warmer. Taman, now, please take us home. I need a doctor. And I need her nearby. He made his choice, broke all his rules, came alone, risked everything, not for power, not for order, for her. And when he looked into her eyes, full of tears and love, he understood. This was the only right choice in his life. Order can be restored, trust earned, but her he could not lose, never.